Right, big game tomorrow, lads. We got preseason. Yes, we got preseason. If you didn't know, we've got Everton, who are going to put up a different kind of fight. Who are we going to start? Well, you've seen him in the thumbnail. You've seen in the presser. Mbeumo. The question is, how long does he get? My guess is probably the first half. Maybe stretch it to 60 minutes. I can't see that happening. Maybe he gets 5 minutes in the end. Maybe he comes up with a second group of players. But if you're here, smash the likes, subscribe if you're brand new. I can't wait for tomorrow just to see what kind of battle that Everton may provide us. Little bit different to the likes of West Ham, who tried to do the possession type stuff, put it around the back. Then we had the Bournemouth, who tried to press us, play a little bit higher up. And then now we're going to have David Moyes' Everton, who has not been keen on his side at the moment, saying they're not ready for the Premier League, who are going to pretty much ultimately go into a low block. So it will be another kind of test to see where Manchester United are at. I expect exactly the same kind of thing, high intensity, movement on the ball. And you know what? Overall, some creativity, and I think we've been managing that at the moment, but you can't read too much into preseason other than fitness and pretty much experiments if they're going well or not. And I think at the moment, all the boxes have been ticked. And I don't lie to yourselves. You've been excited to watch Premier League as well. I mean, coming up, but you've been excited for this preseason like it was the Premier League. I kind of muddled up my words, so just pretend that I've done everything correct there. Anywho, let's get into the team. What I believe is going to be the team. No graphics. I could just say off the bat. Tom Heaton. I would like for Tom Heaton to start again. I don't feel like Biendi's got a future at this club. There's a lot of contemplation around his future. I feel like United will be wasting their efforts in playing the likes of Biendi. His distribution is very sus. He's very shaky anytime he gets pressed by a striker or a forward player. I just don't think he's suited to what we want to do in build-up. And there's rumours of Onana starting the first game of the season against Arsenal anyways. I don't feel like United are going to be well prepared, having the likes of Biendi in net for pre-season, especially with Larman's maybe around the corner. He's a waste of time. So I would like Tom Heaton, much better with his feet, much better distribution, and ultimately a lot of communication. I think communication is the biggest thing. Something Amorim has spoken about recently in interviews, and you see the players, they're always talking about communication. And I think Tom Heaton has that in abundance, and he has the respect of the players. My back three is changed a little bit. I feel like with Amorim, I'm trying to predict what he's going to maybe do. And I do feel like since we saw a mix-up against Bournemouth, and he's talked great about players that haven't exactly had the most minutes, but they've trained. If you've seen a recent interview of him, they've trained very hard and very well, which is something he's perceived to like very much. I feel like the back three will have that small changes. De Ligt come on the pitch yet again. So I'm going to find that De Ligt is going to be the central centre-back, and rightfully so. I feel like there's a dogfight between him and Maguire to find that spot. When Maguire is there, the line is a lot deeper. I feel like he's not quick enough and not agile enough. And I feel like De Ligt is making that his own. And yeah, I think he's winning this battle. The fact that Maguire's had, if I'm correct, he's had about 60 minutes in total. We expected Luke Shaw to come off against Bournemouth, but it was actually Maguire. And it seems very tactical rather than anything else. Not too sure if he's managing some sort of injury, but my back three follows with, and is De Ligt. I think Mazraoui would get the nod this time. I think he's back. I feel like it would be good to get him some minutes in the tank. Yoro's played the majority of the games. I think Mazraoui will get the nod this time around. And I've gone for Heaven. Of course, we saw Luke Shaw. Don't feel like you can push too much of Luke Shaw to do a lot of the games. So I think Heaven makes sense since he only got a minimal amount of time last time out. I feel like in the wing backs pick themselves. Ahmad, absolutely. The low started last game. You got the likes of Dorgu. I don't feel like you can drop him. I feel like he's in the moment for himself. I can see maybe Diego Leon getting a little bit of a shout, but Dorgu in the moment, you can't drop that guy. He's been nothing short of sensational. I feel like he's been the man of the tour so far, including Cunha as well. And I just want him to keep thriving. You know, whether you take him up at half time, you might mix it up. Diego Leon will get the nod at some point. I feel like you can still play him. Him and Ahmad are going to be the wing backs into the season, so it would be nice to see some preparations along that front. In the middle, we saw Bruno and Casemiro. Bruno's never getting dropped. Let's get that straight. You know, we saw Ugarte and Mainoo, but I don't feel like you're going to drop Mainoo in this current moment. I feel like he's the captain. He's taken real hold of the team, if anyone's noticed. But I feel like Mainoo will get the nod. But I do believe Bruno will come off at some point. You know, I do believe Ugarte will get at least a half. Maybe 30 minutes, sorry. I feel like Mainoo's definitely trying to kick on. If there's anyone that was impressive of their cameos, and it was only 20 minutes, we saw the likes of Mainoo. But do you split up the pivot of Mainoo and Ugarte since it's worked so well, whether it's in that cameo or the first game against West Ham? It's a little bit difficult. Now, this is where things get interesting. Højlund's obviously going up front, but there's a lot of speculation around his future. In the next few days, we're going to know. So this could maybe well be one of the last games we might see Højlund in the United shirt. I expect him to get a nod. I don't feel like United want to give up on him just as yet. I don't feel like he wants to give up United yet. And he's played all right. I have no real criticism of his game other than some of the passes that he makes when he's in good possession, in good time, in good sequences, you can call it. He just doesn't have the quality to put in the likes of your Ahmads and Mason Mounts. It's been a little bit wayward. But I expect Cunha and Mbeumo to finally get the nod. You know, Cunha's been rested. There was not much indication from the interviews or his speeches, if you want to call it that, like Cunha might or might not play. I feel like he's had that time of rest of whatever's needed, that fatigue. So I'm kind of expecting him to be a part of that lineup. You know, Mason Mount is an okay player when he's more fit, but he's just not the difference maker, is he? You know, he had an okay game against the likes of Bournemouth, but everyone wants to see Cunha play. Everyone. And next to him, you want to see him in a moment with Mbeumo. If you're going to read off of what Amarim was talking about with Cunha and Mbeumo who's come through the door, the changes, look, you can see it in pictures. Amarim loves Cunha. Absolutely loves him. And I think Cunha's responding very well to him as well. And Mbeumo, I can tell he's itching to play. You know, he's not match sharp yet, so I don't expect much from his first game like that. Maybe his second one, where I think we got Fiorentinas and stuff. But it'd be nice to see them play in the team together for once and see what happens in that scenario. If they link up well, you know, if United get onto a front foot, how much different is it going to be without, instead of having the likes of, like, I don't know, an Ahmad or someone else, because Ahmad plays the 10. But I expect that. I think Mbeumo is going to start. And Højlund. So that's my front 11. You can say my first 11. You know, Xerxes is the more questionable one if he's going to be involved. You never know. Mazraoui's meant to be. He's been back in training. Xerxes has been training. But there's no real confirmations as of yet. He should be a part. I'm hoping he's a part of this because I would like to see, let's say the team's out, the one that we want. You know, you take off Mazraoui and then for 15 minutes before there's the other set of changes, you might see Euro in there. You might take Højlund off, put a Xerxes in there. You know, if Højlund doesn't play the whole game, it kind of tells me the future of Højlund's in general. So that would be interesting, wouldn't it? But it would be nice if Xerxes was there. He gets 15 minutes with these other players before they come off. And also the likes of Euro, because, you know, maybe Heaven comes off, put Mazraoui in it, but you don't want to, you know, tire them out too much. You don't want to get them injured or put them in a scenario where they can get injured. It's going to be an interesting time. But whatever's, I think from the Bournemouth game, I feel like most of us had learned, because I wrote it off pretty quickly when I saw Casemiro Bruno pivot and obviously the Mason Mount. And I was like, oh, this is don't waste my time. So I'm quite optimistic to know that this team might be functioning that little bit different. But this is a big game in testimonial to how far we've come in this summer series, you want to call it, right? So we'll see from there. But make sure you smash the likes, subscribe if you're brand new. If you've got any suggestions, give me who would you start? Let me know your 11. It would be nice to get some more comments in the back there. So let me know and in a bit. And yeah, hopefully we get another 3-0, 4-0, something like that.